Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Justice Unmasked Family Court Corruption. I'm Meghann from Stand with Meg, here with my co host, Michael. And we have an episode for you today that's heavy, but it's also incredibly important. Today, we're diving into Lindsey Pruitt's story, a mother whose life has been torn apart by a corrupt family court system that favored influence and power over the truth.
This story is tough to hear, and it honestly hits at the core of what we talk about on this podcast, how the very system meant to protect families can end up destroying them, especially when it falls into the hands of someone who knows how to manipulate it. Lindsey was in a long-term relationship with her ex, someone she described as a classic narcissist, someone who slowly and steadily controlled her life.
Right. And once she tried to break free, things only got worse. Lindsey's ex isn't just any person. He's a police officer and a lawyer, someone who really understands the ins and outs of the legal system, and, as we'll see, someone who knew how to exploit it at every turn. For Lindsey, it was like she'd escaped the emotional control in her relationship, only to find herself trapped again, but this time within a legal cage he'd carefully crafted. Her ex used every tool he had, emotional, financial, and especially legal, to isolate her from her son, Logan.
Imagine this. You're a mother, and all you want to do is show a small act of love to your child. Lindsey just wanted to drop off Pokemon cards for Logan, something that's completely innocent. Her ex gave her permission to do it, so she did. But then he turned around and filed a police report, twisting that act into something dangerous. For dropping off cards, she ended up with an arrest warrant, and this was just the beginning.
I mean, how does something like that even happen? As a mother, she's simply trying to stay connected to her child. And her ex took that love, that harmless gesture, and used it to criminalize her. But that wasn't the end of it. Lindsey's story shows how, when you're up against someone with legal knowledge and connections, the system itself becomes your enemy.
And it gets worse. Lindsey was hit with a second warrant, this time a felony charge. Her crime? Sending a message pleading with her ex to let her be in her son's life. Just imagine that desperation, knowing that your only option to stay connected with your child might end up putting you in jail. She was jailed for 2 days and had to pay a $5,000 bail. The system made it clear to her every attempt to reach out could lead to even more punishment.
Think about the mental toll that takes on someone. Lindsey was being told over and over, if you love your son and try to connect with him, we'll make sure you pay for it. This wasn't just an attempt to silence her. It was a full-blown attempt to strip away her identity as a mother. And then it didn't stop there. Lindsey's ex knew exactly how to push every button in her life, and he used that to his advantage financially too.
Yeah, he demanded she pay $22,000 in his legal fees, knowing she didn't have the resources. And when she couldn't come up with the money, she faced a jail sentence of 6 months. Imagine that. You're already in financial ruin, and now the system is holding jail time over your head just because you can't pay. Lindsey's husband and father had to max out their credit cards just to keep her out of jail. And it's clear, this was never just about money. Her ex wanted to see her broken.
It's all about control. He wasn't satisfied with the breakup. He needed to make sure she could never feel secure again. Financial ruin, constant fear of jail time. It's a cycle of abuse. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, he starts attacking her career. He contacted her employer, the school district where she worked, and made accusations. He claimed she was inappropriate with students, used drugs, and was racist. There was no truth to any of it, but just by making those accusations, he was able to humiliate her further.
The sad part is, even though these accusations were found to be unfounded, the damage was already done. Lindsey was left to pick up the pieces of her reputation. This is a textbook example of how someone can weaponize accusations. It didn't matter that they weren't true. What mattered was that they added another layer of humiliation. And all of this happened without the court stepping in to protect her.
I think that's one of the hardest things about Lindsey's story. The system wasn't just failing her, it was actually empowering her abuser. Every time she tried to fight back or defend herself, the system gave him more tools to tear her down. So Lindsey decided to move to Texas, thinking she could finally start fresh and have more time with Logan. Her ex had even encouraged it, saying they could work out a co-parenting agreement. But once she got there, he flipped the script again, using her move to restrict her access to Logan even further.
This is the part that really hits hard. Lindsey had made this huge change, uprooted her life, and her ex used it against her. Then, in a horrifying twist, he actually hit her with his car during an argument. She was injured, and yet nothing happened to him. He was protected by the same system that was supposed to keep people safe. His status as a police officer and lawyer insulated him from consequences.
Even after being physically harmed, Lindsey didn't get justice. Imagine how terrifying that is, knowing your abuser has all this power and knowing the system will shield him, not you. And then there was the final blow, the court hearing where Lindsey tried to fight for visitation. She was literally silenced. They wouldn't let her speak. Her ex lied, fabricated evidence, and did everything to make her look like a danger to her own son. And in the end, the court issued a protection order. A 12-year protection order, barring her from any contact with Logan.
12 years, that's a lifetime for a child and a mother. Lindsey won't be able to see or even reach out to Logan until he's almost an adult. This wasn't just a custody decision, it was an erasure of her role as a mother. The court system, manipulated by her ex, stripped her of her identity as a parent.
It's unimaginable. Lindsey now watches her son grow up from afar, missing every milestone, every birthday, every moment. She's being forced to live with the knowledge that the system allowed her son to be taken from her, not because she was unfit, but because her ex knew how to play the game. It's an unbearable reality, and it reveals how broken the family court system truly is. This system isn't just flawed. It's deeply, deeply corrupt when it can allow one parent to completely erase the other.
Lindsey's case is part of a bigger pattern. Family courts all over the country are filled with stories like hers, stories where the parent with money, influence, or legal knowledge uses those advantages to destroy the other parent. And the family court system just stands by, or worse, enables it. The system is supposed to act in the best interest of the child, but when one parent can control everything, it's the child who suffers the most.
It's just so heartbreaking. Lindsey's experience shows that family court isn't a place of justice or fairness. When the system can be so easily manipulated, it becomes a tool for control, abuse, and suffering. And it's not just about Lindsey. It's about every parent out there who's been pushed aside by a system that was meant to protect them.
And let's be clear, this isn't just a bad judge or a bad lawyer. It's a systemic issue. And family courts lack the protections necessary to prevent this kind of abuse. They don't have the safeguards to stop people from using money and power to strip someone of their rights. Lindsey's story is a wake-up call. The family court system needs massive reform to prevent this kind of one-sided control.
If Lindsey's story resonates with you, if you've experienced a similar abuse of the court system, we want to hear from you. Head over to the link in our bio to share your story. Every story we share shines a light on the cracks in the system and brings us one step closer to change. We're fighting for a fair, just system where every parent has a voice.
You're not alone. Lindsey's story is heartbreaking, but it also shows the strength of someone who's been through it all and still fights for her truth. Thank you for listening to Justice Unmasked Family Court Corruption. Let's keep pushing for justice, keep sharing these stories, and work together to demand a fair system for everyone.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Justice Unmasked, Family Court Corruption. I'm Meghann from Stand With Meg, and I just want to take a second to say how grateful I am for each one of you. Since April, our community has grown to over 30,000 strong on social media. It's incredible to see so many people coming together, united by the same goal, to expose the broken and corrupt family court system. Honestly, I started this journey just wanting to shed light on my own experience. But now I'm hearing from so many of you, sharing your own stories of struggle, loss, and resilience in this system. This podcast is all about giving those stories a platform, making sure they're not hidden in silence anymore. Every episode, we're diving deep into the real experiences people have faced, shining a light on what so many families are going through, but too few people are talking about. If you're new here or have a story of your own that needs to be heard, head to the link in my bio to submit it. I'd love to help share it and make sure it's part of this movement we're building. Together, we're unmasking the truth and fighting for the justice so many of us deserve. Follow us on social media to stay updated, connect with others, and if you have a story to share, head to the link in my bio to submit it. Your voice matters, And together, we're pulling back the curtain on family court corruption. Thank you for listening, for sharing, and for helping us build this movement.